What were to become the House of Hazelwood whiskies starts with two young men in a hurry. Charlie and Sandy Gordon's decisions challenged the conventions of the Scotch whisky industry.
Yeah, Hey,
Dave. The two brothers.
Thrusting young men.
The thrusting young men whose thrusts had to be reined in occasionally by their Uncle Eric. But Charlie had those crazy out there ideas. That's what I like about him. Obviously, I knew him for the last decade of his life, and he struck me as a very forthright man, a very witty man as well, you know. But he was so energetic and enthusiastic. Although it was his brother Sandy who was the real accountant, in fact, you know.
Sandy could eventually, you know, after Eric, Sandy was kind of the, okay, right, calm down a wee bit.
Well, that's as we said, the Accelerator and the break.
But also, I mean, just thinking again in terms of context of what was happening at that particular time, you know, coming out of the Second World War, American market incredibly important because they've got the cash, and, you know, but you've got the monolithic structure of DCL, you know, who are controlling pricing, controlling grain supply, etc., etc. And you've got this, what I take as this radical new thinking of we're going to be independent.
Well, it's not we're going to become independent, we're going to stay independent. And that was the thing. They could see other smaller, family-owned perhaps, independent distillers being amalgamated and losing part of their identity. And that was something that the Gordon brothers and Eric Roberts did not want to happen. And certainly in the early 60s, there was moves to start advertising on television. And I think Eric Roberts got summoned to the chairmen of DCL and told them in no uncertain terms that if they were to go ahead with this, then they would find it quite hard to get grain from DCL for their blends. Wow. And Charlie, fairly quick-tempered chap. You know, you'd imagine him being furious about this, but I think secretly he was delighted. And that is essentially why Girvan comes around.
In ceaseless motion across and down through these terraces of grids at delicately balanced angles runs the maize, the flour and grit used in grain whisky production.
So it's not just giving them their own grain supply, but it's giving them grain that they can sell to other blenders, other distillers. I think you'll probably be speaking to Dennis McBain over the course of your investigations. You know, Dennis starts in '58. Works in the malt barns for a bit, and then he gets a move to the engineer to this newly formed coppersmiths, which again is Charlie's idea.
So that was really unusual, you know, a firm having its own coppersmith. I can't remember any distillery having something like that.
No, I think we were only distilling company that ever had a resident coppersmith team on site. He didn't like to be dependent on anybody, if it was at all possible to be something else. He allowed the people to try things, and some of them didn't work, but a lot of them did.
When you're talking about Mr. Charles and Mr. Sandy, you know, that personality and that background seems to run.
Yeah, you could relate to them, you know.
Right.
I mean, I just talked to them like I'm talking to you,
right.
You know. There was no of them or us or any of that. Carry on, you know. Hard working, honest, they are just the way they are.
Yeah. I'm interested in this idea of succession, you know, because you were trained up by a coppersmith, who had been trained up by a coppersmith, and you then passed on your knowledge.
A guy called George Singer.
Right.
It's just a kind of culture, I think, you know, the workforce and the family working together for the same goal, as you would say.
Yeah.
Success.
So this idea that the family casks then, were you ever aware of them being deliberately off to one side and having this extraordinary cash?
I was aware of them, but I don't think it's just individual casks. I think there's a lot of stock. Charles would visit quite often, not always to just view his casks, but because he took a personal interest in what was happening at the distillery.
Yeah.
Whatever they had, they wanted to grow it and hand it over in, let's say, bigger and better condition.
So maybe it's kind of maybe the only way you can really get to the nub of this, this investigation as to, people and family and whiskey and everything is actually to delve into stocks and have a look at what the whiskies were.
I think, David, it's about time that you got up off the couch and went and produced your own blend, son.
Is that a challenge then?
I think that's a challenge.
All right. Okay.
I'd love to see that happen.
Take it.
Yeah, good man.
Didn't expect that.